I'll bet a nickel to a dollar. The first thing they will holler is, he was just talking trash.
All right, good morning everybody. Welcome to Job with John. I am your guest host, Brian Quillen, your Senior Director of Community Services here at IronOaks. And I'm here today with Larry Williams from Right-of-Way Disposal Services. We're gonna have a little Q&A here on your trash. How you should handle it, what you can and can't recycle, how to place your cart on the curb, all those different things. So we're gonna cover a lot of different subjects for you. But first I'm gonna let Larry introduce himself, tell you a little bit about RAD and about their new company that they were acquired by about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, so my name is Larry Williams. I'm the Sales and Marketing Director for Waste Connections of Arizona, which is better known as Right-of-Way Disposal throughout the community. Right-of-Way Disposal was purchased in 2018 from Waste Connections, which is a national company. It's the third largest hauling company in Arizona, or in the U.S. And we're very excited about these opportunities with Waste Connections. There's a great deal of focus and investment going into right-of-way disposal these days, and probably some of you have already noticed where new trucks are coming in, new carts, and this also gives us the ability to increase a lot of our departments like customer service and a number of other things. But yeah, I'm very happy to be here today, and I guess this is what we call talking trash, right?
Absolutely, talking trash with Larry and Brian. So let's kind of start. You got a lot of stuff here on the table, so let's kind of cover what you got here. So we're going to talk recyclables first. What can people recycle? How should they recycle it? What can they avoid when they go to the grocery store so that everything becomes recyclable? Those types of things.
Absolutely, good question, Brian. So in recycling, it's easy to remember what's recyclable. So if you hold up one hand and hold up all 5 fingers, you can recycle 5 things within your recycling cart. The first thing that is probably the most common is cardboard. So cardboard comes in a number of different variances. So bought cat food for my cat last night. This is what his food came in. This is recyclable. This is very similar to beverages that you get, cereal, a number of things come in with this kind of a coated cardboard, chipboard. But this is recyclable, so this is part of the cardboard family. Another is, I'm sure everybody's over the last couple of years has been familiar with Amazon. And so a lot of things, cardboard, which is better known as OCC, old corrugated cardboard, is probably the number one commodity that's going through the recycling container. So this is recyclable. What's not recyclable is the film that a lot of packages come with. So this plastic film or styrofoam peanuts or anything that's not cardboard related needs to come out of the box. And you throw this in your trash cart. The other thing is that when you're recycling cardboard, these are space eaters. Space eaters will take up room in your cardboard and your trash cart extremely fast. So what you want to do is break it down. It only takes a few minutes, gives you a little bit of exercise. And you take this, flatten it down, and throw it into your recycling container. The second item is tin. Tin is typically your soup cans, your juice cans, vegetables, anything that comes in a tin can is recyclable. A lot of people misconstrue or misinterpret the steel. I see microwaves, I see dishwashers, I see frying pans, I see all types of steel go into the recycling cart. And that is something that doesn't go in there. It's strictly just for these type of items, for steel.
Now, quick question, Larry, on these kind of things. Should they be washed out before they're put into your recycle bin?
They should be, but we don't hold you to a certain level of having it sterilized. There's a point where you're using too much water to clean material, and that's also not a very economical or environmental practice that you want to get into. So if there's a little bit of residue, we don't want to see like half a can of tomato paste going into the garbage with the can. Throw that out, but if there's a little bit of residual left over, no problem, it's still going to recycle. The third thing that is that we recycle, number 3, is plastics. So plastic containers, and there's a big variety of plastic containers. There's the most popular, which is water bottles here in Arizona. Everybody loves water. So this is typically the number one. Number two is what we call HDPE, which is high density plastics. These comes in a various different types. You can get items for your pool, detergents, soap detergents for laundry, bug killer, weed killer. There's a number of different things that come in these type of items. And the way to find out is that if you look at the bottom, there's also a recycling triangle, and it will tell you HDPE or PET, which is drinking bottles, or HDPE natural, which is going to go into next. This is called natural plastic, so milk cartons, anything like Arizona iced tea containers, just a bunch of different varieties of different containers that come in this also. And then the last thing are things that you get like at the grocery store. So like if you get a vegetable or a fruit that's already pre-cut and it comes in this kind of container, these are called clamshells. So maybe you get a piece of cake that comes in a separate single size. That's the same type of plastic. So this type of plastic is also recyclable.
So Larry, I've always heard that the lids are not recyclable. Is that true or false?
False. They are recyclable. In fact, our buyers of our commodities are very, they want them on there because it is a recyclable type of product. And the other part of it is that it keeps whatever the liquid's in the container out of your trash cart. It seals it in there, and you don't have that leaking into your trash cart. And doing everything to keep your trash cart clean, or your recycling cart, my bad. Recycling cart is important, so keep the lids on there. It will reduce the spillage that goes into the cart. Number 4 is paper. So everybody gets their newspaper. For me, I got my newspaper this morning. It came in a plastic bag, so which you don't want to recycle the plastic bag, but you definitely want to recycle the newspaper. And I'm going to come back to the newspaper. This is a great commodity that we recycle, and there's a good story that goes along with it that tells you where your recycling is going. The other thing is the abundance of junk mail. I don't know about you guys, but man, it just piles up. If I don't check my mailbox in 3 days, I've got a whole mailbox full of this stuff. So bulk mail is one of those things that is recyclable, and just about every part of it is. The last thing that is recyclable is aluminum. So aluminum beverage containers, aluminum foil as long as it's clean, pie trays, TV dinner trays. Do they still make TV dinners in aluminum?
I don't know. I'm surprised you still get a newspaper.
But yeah, so aluminum is the last thing that we recycle. I'm sure that a lot of you are thinking, well, isn't there one more thing, like glass? Glass is one thing that we don't recycle. And the reason why is because the carbon footprint left behind in recycling it. Basically, glass goes in the recycling container, it goes into our trucks, it gets compacted, it breaks into little pieces, it gets mixed up with other colors. Then we have to put it in a truck, send it to a company that separates the color, which is called cullet, in separate colors. And then that goes to another location and it gets melted down. It takes a lot more energy to melt this material opposed to virgin materials, which are in abundance. The composition of glass is ash and sand. We live in the desert, there's plenty of sand. And so this is one of the reasons why we don't do it. In fact, a lot of municipalities, including Tucson, just within the last couple months, have removed glass from their recycling. It just doesn't make sense. So if you do use glass beverages, put them in your trash cart.
So what other types of items should they not be putting in their recycle bins?
Anything that's not on this table. So anything outside of that does not go in the recycling cart.
So how should they collect their recyclables to put in their bin?
Good question.
If they want to gather them all in one location.
A couple ways you can do it. You can put the items loose into your recycling cart, no problem, and it will be processed. Our trucks will come in, they'll dump it, and it goes in. That's probably the most preferred. But for an example, if you need something to carry your recyclables out to your recycling cart, always use paper. These, you can always go to the grocery store and ask for paper, and they always have them available. I was at Albertsons last night, and I happen to live only a couple miles down here, so it's the Albertsons on Clean Creek and Homeschool, and they both offered either trash or plastic. Always use paper. Did I say?
You said trash.
No, trash, paper. So paper, and then this is really easy. Basically, you can just take this and put it wherever you want. And these items will all just go in there. So easy, just like that. When you're done, take it out, drop it into your recycling cart. The other thing is that a lot of people do shredding. And shredding is a mess when you put it in loose into your recycling cart, especially on the windy days that we've been recently having. When you empty the cart, all that paper just ends up in your neighbor's front yard, and because it wasn't bagged. Basically, you can take this paper bag, put it in all your shredding, fold it over, staple it, throw it in your recycling cart, and that's good to go.
Great.
One of the other things is pre-cycling. And a lot of people ask me, what's pre-cycling? Well, it's recycling before you get it home. So a lot of things that you can do to be a little bit more environmentally conscious is buying items that are recyclable. Styrofoam is not recyclable, but plastic is. And when you get a dozen eggs, you can either get it in plastic or cardboard, you know, the chipboard type. Or, and those are two options other than styrofoam. Styrofoam is one of those things that's not recyclable. Even though it has a recycling emblem on it, nobody recycle it, and it's very difficult. And it's a petroleum-based product. So this is a little bit more, if you're gonna buy eggs, buy it in these type of packaging. And the other thing is, if you wanna avoid all these bags together, the best way is to do reusable bags. And reused bags are very, very popular right now. And even some places like Whole Foods and AJ's are giving you discounts for using them. So this is a great alternative to any bag. Now, the things that are absolutely the number one culprit that we do not want in the recycling is these guys. Plastic bags, any type of variance of a plastic bag. A tater tot bag. A plastic bag that you might put your sandwich in, or any of these bags. These are not recyclable. They are a major problem in our processing equipment. They get wrapped up in the belts. They're always coming out of the truck, regardless on how you put this material and compact it. It always ends up in, sometimes on the street. When you empty the cart, they come out and they fly down. And so that's one of the things that you don't want to include. But you can put them in your trash cart. And the beautiful thing about a plastic bag, if you have to have a plastic bag and this is what you're going to use, they're also a great garbage bag. And basically you can throw your garbage, pretend this is garbage, and you put that in there, and these can go in and they can tie up just as nice as a regular bag. And that's kind of our spill on recycling.
All right. Thank you for the information on that. Let's move on to our next subject.
Sounds great.
So, Larry, I want to ask you a quick question. What happens to our recyclables when, once they get in the can, once you throw them in the truck, where do they go? What happens to them?
Yeah, that's a fantastic story. With right-of-way disposal, we are very big stewards of recycling. And in 2016, we invested $15.5 million on a processing center that's in Apache Junction. Basically, that center receives all this material, and then we segregate it and we find markets for it. But here in Sun Lakes, it gets a little bit closer to the manufacturing part of recycling, where the recycling goes and actually gets turned into something. So let's go through the commodities each.
Sure.
And talk about that. And then the last thing we want to talk about is the newspaper. So cardboard is processed here. It gets baled, and there's a company that's in Riverside, California. It's a pulping mill, and basically it gets turned right back into cardboard. So that is one of the ones that's closest to Arizona that is all. In fact, the majority of your recyclables are processed here domestically, which is a big thing with right-of-way disposal. We're very focused on keeping this type of material within the U.S. opposed to the many, many miles and the logistics that it uses to get it to somewhere else, maybe in the Pacific Rim somewhere. Tin is shipped up to Stockton, California, and it's turned right back into tin. It's steel and other things that it might be applied to. Plastics, depending on the grade, plastics are they're actually processed here in the U.S. and there's a couple different locations that we use, but there's also one that does get processed outside of the country, which is in Nogales. And basically, they take a lot of these plastics, they chip it into little cornflakes, depending on the type of plastic, and then they heat it up, extrude it into pellets, and a lot of that material is shipped back into typically Southern California, and it's made into other different products. None of it consumable products. Always something, whether if it's recycled plastic lumber that you might see at Home Depot, or buckets, or whatever the case may be, but it's always used for something other than human consumption. Probably the most famous is aluminum. Aluminum cans are the fastest and the commodity that goes right back into the consumer's hands. So this is recycled it goes to Texas, and our partner, which is Anheuser-Busch, is the company that does the whole process of this. They re-smolter it, they melt it down, and put it right back into aluminum beverage.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the last thing is paper. So in 2013, I was involved with a company called United Fibers, which is based in Chandler, Arizona. They're on Ray and Arizona Avenue. And part of my position there was to help Sun Lakes get into recycling. So I am the guy who brought recycling to Sun Lakes, and provide an option for homeowners to recycle. The reason for doing it was because it was a material stream. Basically, we were taking all of the paper out of the recycling and turning it into cellulose insulation. So cellulose insulation is, if you go up in your attic of your house and you see that white fluffy stuff, that's what they make out of it. So basically, the newspaper that you read today can be in someone's home as insulation within 2 months.
Wow.
And that company is right there on Arizona Avenue and Ray Road. It's a great story. If you have time, Google United Fibers. There's a video that talks about all this information. You'll see yours truly, and gives you the whole spiel of it. And that's where your recyclables go.
Excellent information. Appreciate that. All right, so we've covered where recyclable goes, how it's all recycled, all that stuff. What about our trash?
Trash. So trash is collected, and basically we have 2 transfer stations. We have one in downtown Phoenix, which is on 19th Avenue in Lower Buckeye, and then we have another location which is in Apache Junction. The majority of the material that comes out of Sun Lakes goes to 19th Avenue, our location at 19th Avenue. At that point, it's transloaded into long hauling trailers, and we take it down to, we have a landfill that's between Tucson and Phoenix, which is right off of Red Rock exit, which is down by Picacho Peak. We have a landfill that was opened in 2015, and it is a Subtitle D landfill, so it takes everything. And what I mean by Subtitle D landfill, a little technical information, is that it has a liner throughout the whole landfill, so nothing that goes into it is seeped into the earth and potentially into the water tables down below.
Got it.
So we're very environmentally conscious about that, and there's a lot of permitting and observation from both the state and Pinal County, and so they're out there on a regular basis just to make sure that we're fulfilling our responsibilities.
Okay, great. So, now we know where it goes. How do we get it there? How should they bag their trash? What can we do to keep it from smelling up our can and leaking into our can and doing all those fun things that we all say?
So trash, 99.9% of the time goes into a trash bag. You should never throw in your raw trash into your cart. The state, those are situations that you don't want to get your cart where it's attracting flies, becomes a health issue. You always want to make sure that your cart is clean, and by doing so, you put it in trash bags. So if you're going to use a trash bag, you know, they come in different sizes and different types of weights and everything. So our recommendation is I'll show you how to tie a bag to make sure that the material in it stays in it. And in fact, if you tie a bag properly, the trash within it, I mean, you could leave it in there for 3 weeks. Not that that would ever happen, but you could leave it in there for 3 weeks and you would still never smell it.
Great.
So it's something that is a good practice to get into. So you put in all your trash, all your garbage, all of some of the items that we talked about recycling that aren't recyclable, and you put it into this bag. And this particular bag has a pull string, and you basically pull the strings, which are always on both sides of the bag. You pull it tight. You get a little bit of about 8 inches, 6 inches of the bag, and then you tie it, loop it around, and then voila. That is airtight, and that bag will never have anything that leaks out of it when it gets through disposal. Even if it falls out during service, the driver can get out, throw it into the truck. There's nothing on the sidewalk, there's no residue. So it really confines all that material, and you can even see how full the air is and it's not leaking out. It keeps that in there. The other way of doing it is, this is a larger bag. Say that you just got done mowing your lawn. Is there lawns up here in something?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Lots of grass.
Lots of grass, all right. Or trim, yard trimmings and whatnot, or even just your regular trash again. Throw it all into your bag, in a bigger bag. And the other way that you can do this is if you don't have, a lot of bags don't have these pull strings on it, and if they don't, they usually have long flaps like dog ears. And basically take 2 of the dog ears, tie it in half, and then again into a knot. And again, that right there, anything in there, it will never come out. And that will make it all the way to the landfill.
Great. And keeps you smelling, keeps the odors down, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
For those that have to store their cans in the garage, those types of things.
Absolutely, you won't smell any trash as long as you prepare your trash just like this. And by the way, you can actually get your garbage bags scented.
Absolutely. Now, what if somebody, I'm an offender of this myself, what if we fill it a little too full? Can we just use the pull strings to tie the bag?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you don't have to loop this. You can just use the pull strings. I mean, these bags are designed, there's a lot of engineering that goes into these bags. And really, you just get this really nice and tight and tie it and pull it there. And that's all you need to do is put a double knot in it and it's still in there.
Great. Great information. Anything else you'd like to cover on how to bag trash? Should they look at doing any sort of special double bagging for certain things, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, if it's something that you're really afraid that's going to get out and it's going to be an odor problem, always double bag. And how you do that is that when you tie your bag, put it into the next bag upside down, and then you tie the bag again, your second bag, you tie that up, and you really got a double liner of keeping that material in there.
Sure. I know, me personally, I've always found great use for those plastic grocery bags.
Yeah.
Use that for your liquids, those types of things, tie it up, then throw it in your trash bag type thing. Great information, Larry. Really appreciate all this. I think next thing we're going to be talking about is your trash carts, sizes, how to place them on the curb, those types of things. So we'll be back with you in just a few minutes. All right, welcome back to Talking Trash. Now we're going to talk about your trash carts. You know, Larry, we got a couple different size carts here. You know, first tell me a little bit about the carts themselves. Where do they come from? How do we get them?
Yeah, so again, one of the things that we do at Right Away Disposal is buy local, and buy local means just everything that we can potentially buy here in the state of Arizona. We do these trash carts, which are made by Sierra, come out of Goodyear, Arizona. They're made here in Arizona, so this is really kind of a good story. They utilize a lot of recyclable materials in making these, even materials that come out of Sun Lakes are reused in making these carts. The carts are designed in a manner, we actually provide 2 different sizes, a 95 gallon and a 65 gallon, depending on your footprint of your house or in your garage. If you want a little bit less room, 65 is always a good one, but if you make a lot of trash, the 95 is obviously the better choice.
Now Now, is there any cost for somebody to get a larger can?
No.
If they have a 65?
Part of our service agreement with some IronOaks is that you get either size, and it's the same cost. So it is one of the things that we provide. And the other great thing about these carts and our service is if the cart is broken, but it doesn't matter how it's broken, if the side is compromised or the wheel breaks or the lid comes off, contact us. We'll have a new cart out typically in about 7 days, and we try to do it within your next service day. So just give us a call or send us an email, and it's something that we can do and get it taken care of for you.
Great information. So now you get a lot of questions. Inquiries. How should I put my trash out on the curb?
Yeah, that's always been a big question with everybody. So with cart placement, it's vital that you follow these rules because it makes our service go faster, it makes it more accurate, and it really reduces the safety, or it increases safety, and it reduces accidents. And so the main thing is that when you bring your cart out for service, you don't want to leave it in your driveway. Because typically a lot of people in their driveway, they'll have a telephone pole, a light pole, a mailbox, or whatever, or landscaping, even landscaping, something as trivial as lighting that's in the rocks. You want to get the cart away from that altogether. You want to get it and put it on the street. And the best way to do it is make sure that the wheels are in the gutter of the street. So that's your best placement right there. The other thing is that distance is important. You don't want to put your cart out if you tend to park out in the street, or if you know that you're going to have visitors at the house. You want to make sure that you leave at least 4 feet of space between your trash cart and whatever fixed item that might be on the street. So if your maid's going to be here cleaning, just make sure she parks at least 4 feet away from your cart. That way the truck comes up and safely grabs the cart and tips it over.
Okay.
The other thing is landscape. Landscape is always a problem. A lot of people will have a tree that is overgrown, and there might be branches that are coming out on the street. Don't place your cart underneath it. Perfect example is a tree like this. You want to make sure that when the cart's lifted, you have to also think about that it's going to go up vertically. So when it goes up vertically, you need at least 12 feet of clearance. So you don't want to hit a branch or break a tree, and that's the last thing we want to do. So just make sure that it's away from those items. And really, if there's an obstacle that we feel that is going to be a problem, a lot of times the drivers will get out of the truck and they'll have to move the cart, and they do that. But if it becomes a pattern, they just won't service the cart, and it's just something that we communicate that with the homeowners, and very proactive about that. And then the other thing is that if there's ever an event where maybe you were servicing both carts on the same day, you always want to make sure that the carts are at least 2 feet apart. That way, when the arms come out from the truck, they can go out long enough, grab the cart, empty it, come back down, and then the next truck can come up and do the same thing. So there's a good distance between the two. The last thing you want is the arm to come out and actually knock over one of the carts. You got trash all over. If it's a windy day, now it's in your neighbor's house, driver has to get out, and always, the driver getting in and out of the truck is always a safety concern. So just make sure that you have that space between the carts if that's ever a situation.
Okay, so you brought up, if we ever have, carts being serviced on the same day. So in that vein, a lot of the old carts around here have the same color lid, exact same kind of can. How's Right Away going to deal with that?
Well, it's important that you can identify your trash and your recycling cart. You may know, and our drivers may know exactly what your cart is recyclable and which one's not. But the best way to do it is trash is always a black lid, and recycling is always a blue lid. I know a lot of other trash providers will have a solid blue cart, or they may have a solid green cart. A lot of studies gone behind this, and in Arizona, tan carts are the most popular. They're cosmetically nice in the community. They don't stick out like an advertisement for the trash hauler. We service a lot of 55 plus communities, and the tan cart is the most desired color that they want. And so it's the sole reason why we have tan carts in some lakes.
So a lot of the older carts are tan. both have brown lids. What can they do to get one that has a different colored lid?
If you feel like that might be a problem, contact us. It's just like replacing a cart for damage. We'll come out and bring you a new blue recycling cart that has the recycling lid on top of it.
All right, excellent. Well, Larry, I want to thank you so much for coming out today.
Yeah, Brian.
You know, really, really great information for everybody. If anybody has any questions, you are welcome to email those to me, or Larry's contact information, I believe, is available on our website as well. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.